Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley. And today I was in court in West Palm Beach and I saw something that just seemed ridiculous to me. And that was there were several individuals in the courtroom that were charged with feeding the homeless. I didn't even know that that was a crime, feeding the homeless. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of let you see what I came across here. All right. So let me move this down. All right. So the first thing I did was I looked at the docket and I got the name of the person. And there's three, at least three, I think it was about 4 or 5 individuals in the courtroom, different ages. On September 9th, I arrived at Clematis in reference to a city of West Palm Beach violence ordinance violation. I met with officers Ane and Sergeant Hughes, who observed individuals feeding a group, which is a direct violation of 78-152 West Palm Beach City Ordinance. These individuals were observed underneath the awning of a Florida Crystals building, 3 tables, 3 crock pots of food, several bananas, strawberries, containers, water bottles, plastic utensils, which appeared to be available to serve more than 25 people, appeared to be. So we have the police officers guessing. Present to serve more than 25 people, a line of individuals and approximately 15 to 18 people standing around waiting in line. So based on the observance, a reasonable person would believe that they would likely be more than 25 people. So now they're charging them. Basically what this report is saying is that they're charging them before they actually see they commit this ordinance. So I don't know, the 15 to 18 people that are standing around and or waiting in line, are they part of the 10 to 12? Because then the ordinance isn't even violated, right? So I'd be doing a motion to dismiss on that. Here's the 3 people, Carly, Nicholas, and Jacob, were all identified by their Florida driver's license. They had previously been warned, as well as arrested, issued a notice to appear for the same violation on 8/26. The 3 individuals belong to a group called Food Not Bombs. All right. They do not have a valid city permit. Do you need a permit to feed homeless? All right, so 78152, right? So bear with me here. So 78152. Types of events and permits required for special events and special event advertising. Do you advertise that you're feeding the homeless or do you just do it? I fed the homeless several times, and when I show up with a bunch of food, yeah, you get a bunch of people that come around. They're hungry. So permits required. And this says special events, right? Well, I don't know what's special about special for them because they're getting a cooked meal. But if you see under here, subsection 4 of 78152, large group feeding. I don't know, maybe if you had a food truck, you would need a permit if you're just feeding the public. I could get, these are homeless people, right? So they're saying that they got to go get a permit to bring some homemade soup or give them some sandwiches or bring some boxes of pizza, which I've done several times in Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach. So that's what the statute is saying. Anyway, then I looked up a case. So just all I did was type in Google, right? Is go to Google, and I came up with this 11th Circuit, Fort Lauderdale Food Not Bombs, same company, right? And they had a case in it says Fort Lauderdale, 11th Circuit. And in Fort Lauderdale, where lots of things are a mess, but the same group to shut down the practice. Second appellate skirmish in Fort Lauderdale, Food Not Bombs, challenge to Fort Lauderdale's efforts to shut down the practice of sharing food with the homeless in downtown Shanahan Park. And in this case, right, in round 1, a panel of this court held that FLN's food sharing to be expressive conduct protected by the First Amendment and remanded the case to the district court, right, because it goes from county court to circuit court, which is the felony court for appeal, from the felony court to the appellate court. So then violated the first. Now in round 2, we must decide whether Fort Lauderdale Park Rule 2.2, which requires city permission for social service food sharing events in all Fort Lauderdale parks, can withstand a First Amendment violation. and I'm not going to bore you with the 65 pages. You guys can look at it online, right? But I'm going to scroll down like I did in high school. And let's see. In this prior appeal, the court held on this record the nature of plaintiffs' weekly food sharing activity in a public park, combined with the factual context and environment in which it was undertaken, led to the conclusion that food sharing conduct expresses an idea through activity, conveys some sort of message to a reasonable observer, and constitutes a form of protected expression under the First Amendment. The holding relied on well-developed factual record about the plaintiffs for many years of food sharing events. One, held that the city of Shanahan Park, a public forum where the homeless congregate, and two, that are accompanied by banners and distribution of literature. As the panel opinion points out, most social service food sharing program events will not be expressive. Here, however, we are bound by the holdings in the prior appeal that were based on a particular and extensive list of factual patterns. Let's see if I can put the last page here. Oh, sorry, I already skipped that. Let's go. I tend to do that. I skip down. Like, attorneys are so wordy. Since the public park fails because it is not narrowly tailored, we need not address whether it leaves open ample affirmative channels for communication of the plaintiff's message. The long and short of it is that where the park rules applies to the plaintiff's expressive food sharing violates the First Amendment. That's the gist of it. There's a whole bunch of arguments here. You know, the reasons why the city doesn't want the homeless to congregate, it harms business and stuff like that, and encourages more people. And I get it. But guys, they're feeding some people at the park in downtown West Palm Beach, in downtown Fort Lauderdale. There's people that are hungry, right? What do you bring? One sandwich and you, come on, this is so stupid. The fact that there's a law against this, it should be unconstitutional. You should be able to give food to the homeless people, right? I've had a get together, an office party, and I brought all the food down to downtown Fort Lauderdale. I've gone around in West Palm Beach. I've grabbed a few boxes of pizza and brought it to homeless people and a couple of drinks. And I've done that in Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach. I didn't know I was a criminal. I didn't know I was a criminal. Then I typed in, let's see. Let's go, new tab here. Let's see, homeless feeding unconstitutional Florida. Let's see. Official rule that feeding the homeless is a protected right in America. An organization, okay, it's the same people. Joanna and her husband. Feeding the homeless is a protected First Amendment thing. Let's see. Just because it says it on the internet, I like the case law. So the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that feeding the homeless is a protected right in America. And there was some really good language in there. So here are my thoughts on the case. First, in criminal defense, you know what the key to it is? Not to just come to a conclusion. Let me get this. Let me move the camera here over here. If I'm the public defender on this case, and I'm not, but free advice, Uncle Roger. Ask for detailed discovery, right? That police report says that they saw them feed 10 to 12 people, and there was about 18 to 20 people in line or standing around. It's the same people. I mean, did the cops literally write an NTA, a notice to appear, arrest them, in effect, a legal arrest, not a physical arrest? And even though they didn't see the crime committed because they guessed that there was enough food to feed 25 people, maybe the people got seconds and thirds. I mean, you ever watch me eat? I promise you, a couple of crock pots ain't gonna, I don't know, some bananas and stuff. So I would be looking for a motion to dismiss on that because they didn't actually see the crime committed. They assumed, right? But let's get to the bottom of it. Let's not just smack them, right? Let's squash them like a bug, and let's file a motion on constitutionality and let's look at the motion that was filed in Palm Beach, in Miami or Fort Lauderdale. Let's look at the one that was filed in Tampa, right? And get those ideas, and then use that as your premise. I'm not saying, use the exact same motion, because, don't use a generic motion for all things. Your facts are slightly different, right? That was in a park, so they argued in a park. The other one was somewhere else. This one is outside a, city building in Fort Lauderdale, in the street. I'm sorry, in West Palm Beach, city building near and certain area where the homeless congregate. So if it's near a city building, and I think that's what the police report said, right? Let's go back to that real quick. Let's move me out of the way here. In reference to the West Palm Beach City Ordinance. So can I not gather? Okay, so clematis. So let's do a quick Google check. City buildings on clematis in West Palm Beach, right? Because I want to collect some of my argument. Look at this, West Palm Beach, City of Administration. Oh, City Hall happens to be right there. Historic Commercial District, Planning and Zoning. Wouldn't that be a great place? Should be a great place. And why do I say that? Because when I go back, not to that, but I don't think it's constitutional, and I think you'll make them work. And not only do you file the motion to dismiss based on the officer not observing it, right? There appears to be enough. How is that a crime? I think the officer kind of, maybe the officer is a kind person and they were told that they had to do it, and maybe they wrote it that way. Let's hope for a little bit of compassion and maybe smart thinking by a police officer, because he didn't see 25 people get fed. So how can he write that there wasn't? There appeared to be enough to feed them, so I would file that. But I would also file the motion for it being unconstitutional. I would also ask for the list of the 25 people that the officer saw, name, address. Homeless, there's no address, because how are you going to find the people? Phone numbers. You think the officer collected all the people that they were alleged? I just saw the people. I just saw people. I don't know who they were, to get their name, address, and phone number. I would ask for specific discovery. And I would make this city prosecutor work until the point where they start saying, either the court says, hey, this isn't constitutional, or the city says, let's amend this ridiculousness. I get it. You're trying to keep the streets clean. I get it. Everyone, is an advocate for the homeless until they ask you to stay, in your front yard, or, come to your house. Kind of like the whole immigration issue, right? From Texas to New York and all that. So I'm not going to go into all that, but you understand my point. Can you farm on city streets? I'd like to get them doing some farming on the side of the road and start planting food. I don't know. Anyway, I would file a motion to take depots, but I would just put the city through the work. So not only that you kind of like figuratively slap them around in the courtroom, but squash them like a bug. And it looks like there's case law to do that. So to Ms. Prinzo and the other people that were listed there, let's see, Carly, Nicholas, and Jacob, I wish you well in this endeavor. I hope that you're doing it to truly help the homeless, and not just a cause to be noteworthy, to be in the news or whatever. And I trust that they're doing it to help the homeless people. How ridiculous to be arrested, be facing 60 days in jail. Oh, and I would say, listen, don't set this for a bench trial. That's what I saw in court today. I saw, without any work, without any motion to dismiss or suppress, right, or quash. I would file a motion to quash the arrest. They just set it for bench trial. Don't set it for a bench trial. Start putting notices all over town. Get every homeless person to be at the courthouse. Get every news outlet to be at the courthouse. Set it for a jury trial, for a jury of your peers. Listen, it's a great judge. That judge is a great judge. I'm not going to say his name. You guys can look this stuff up. He's a great judge, but I still, even with a great judge, make it a jury trial. Spend the time, spend the energy, make the prosecution, which is the city attorney's office, not the state attorney's office, different jurisdiction here. Make the city attorney's office work. Motions, jury trial, depositions, specific discovery, make them work, and stop this ridiculousness. I'm attorney Roger P. Foley. It just bothered me. It just bothered me. So I'm talking about it. Have a great day. Tell me your thoughts. Should feeding the homeless be illegal in West Palm Beach or any city for that matter? Let me know. See ya.